Last week we saw the lives of the internally displaced people through the documentary titled Shelter Here on Gender Agenda. This week is perhaps an insight into even a more distressed state of mind and the state of affairs, as that boy that we saw in the previous episode on the narrator and the anchor's shoulder while giving us the story and the lives of those people, Sonny, passed on in this episode. However, the story is not about the death of Sonny. The story is about hope and what could have been done. One of our very own, Philip Emeagwali, who was also a refugee in the Biafran civil war camp, later on became one of the fastest mathematicians in the whole world, won a Nobel laureate in 1989 for using 65,000 processors to solve a 3.1 billion calculations in 60 seconds. That was a child raised in an internally displaced people's camp, a refugee who left the shores of Nigeria to the United States on scholarship with only $140. Today, he is the Bill Gates of Africa. The question is, what could have been of Sonny if the country believed in his own? Perhaps this could have been one of the stories. This is a continuation of last week's episode. You're welcome. This is Gender Agenda. Now, this is the scenery that covers or deceives one that they are standing on a corn plantation. This is actually where some of the internally displaced people in the FCT reside. This is the unregistered settlement area in Kabusa, where some people have taken flight from community crisis and have become internally displaced and moved to Abuja to find succor. Now, we have been here thousands of times, but what is different today is that we are mourning one of our own who died over the weekend last week, a young boy of 4 years, Sonny Lucas, who, if had the chance, would have been alive till today. But that will not be, because him and his family reside in an uncompleted building. Some people who also live in makeshift bags, and some others who are not so lucky to even find the makeshift bags live in paper bags. Beside me is I wouldn't call it a tomb, is where he's been laid to rest. This is the place where Sonny Lucas has been laid to rest. Barely sick for a couple of hours and passed on into the early morning hours of last week, Saturday. We have continued to cry out to the government the need to establish evacuation centers for people like this. The need to be able to create welfare and shelter for people like this, to avoid incidences like this. We do not need to be told to do what is right for the Nigerian citizens. The argument that has resonated is that a lot of these people are staying in unregistered camps that are not known by NEMA, and so should be taken back to their local, communities where they are coming back from. Then need I ask this question? As a Nigerian citizen, do we have to take permission to reside on any ground that is situated within Nigeria? As a Nigerian citizen, do we have to solicit from the government the right to exist and to remain on grounds that are declared Nigerian soil? If we do not have a place to call our own, or the shelters where these people can reside, and the government is not putting up enough structures for people like this, what you will find is that they will fester around in their own little pocket communities in places where they can define as home. Host homes. Behind you, you would see that this land stretches far into the forest, and behind that forest is where you will also find a lot of more of these people sleeping in shetties and handmade polythene porter cabins, like somebody would say. On Gender Agenda today, we're looking at giving back and taking what is rightfully rightfully the Nigerian people's right, giving it back to them. And I do not think that it's just about the government. I think that every Nigerian citizen has a purpose to do right by another citizen, especially if you're much more situated with the productivity or the product to do that. Now we're going to take a journey today. What we're going to be looking at today is trying to reach out to the family who has lost this young boy, and how the women and young girls are coping in an environment like this, exposed to the cold, exposed to malaria, exposed to even abuse. Is it right for a human being to live like this? We're not asking for too much. They are not asking for too much. There are women out there who can put their hands together. The UNCHR complains of lack of funds. Do we need so much money to create shelters for people like this? Do we need so much money to be able to say to one another, it is time that people reach out to one another? Do we need so much money to be able to say one Nigerian for the other? My name is Adora Onyechere. You're welcome to Gender Agenda. One of the rooms, nothing has changed from here except for the two Samaritans who bring Beckett here. This was one of the last days of Sonny before he passed on. And this is still a child in this environment now. There happens to still be no window covered by the zinc here, just so that mosquitoes don't even fester in a lot of the time, but you can still see the crack there. And then again on the other side is where they keep the little remaining belongings that they have. The poor child is perhaps struck by the light coming from the camera works and is imagining why we're invading his space. Alright, I'm sorry little one. And then when you go here is another person's room. Now what you see is a section of the house that is totally inhabited by different people. This is also a room and the cooking corner where they barely try to make what they eat. This is not a rundown on the government or the prospects of the things that have happened, but the intensity of what these people have to bear is what we're looking at, and the experience. What we are only asking is that there are good Samaritans out there. Please, if you have what it takes to support these people, if you have enough to feed on and you have extra, these people could do with shelter, they could do with a place to live. It doesn't matter whether they're on grounds that are not defined by government authorities. What we are asking is that they need help, and it is only up to us as Nigerians to look out for them. I'm calling on all the women out there in Nigeria, those who have projects on helping humanity and projects on reaching out. This is one of the projects that you can commit to. We need hostels, we need people to come together, put your hands together and create shelters for people like this. This is the next generation of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and it is not up to the government alone to do it. In memory of Sonny Lucas, we ask that the government should please look into establishing long-term structures for IDPs and not just makeover camps. Now, we will be going to where they'll be having some aids provided for them by an NGO called Yellow Jerry Can, Save a Child, in the memory of the loss of Sonny. I see that there is something happening today in the memory of Sonny. What would you like to say on behalf of, other IDPs that have gone through things like this, for Sonny's sake?
For Sonny's sake, It's because of the place where we are staying. I feel very bad. Yeah, I get something. All my brothers where we are staying. We can place. This is being because of the place where we are staying. That's why this is we didn't have money. I take care of him, carry him, and also care of him. Yes.
Very much big heart. I mean, Sonny was very loved amongst all of us. He was a chip of the monk, if you know what I mean. I mean, there's never a dull moment. In his silent demeanor, you could tell that his heart was full of love. And it's sad. It's really sad that we've lost one of our very favorite sons. And this is just one out of many that have gone like this. I mean, there are so many that have gone unreported, so many that has gone unmentioned. But this is close to our heart. And we're using this moment to say to the government, to the Nigerian people, the economy is tough, but if you can still find shelter, a roof over your head, food on your table, and you can have a little extra to reach out to people like this, please do not hesitate. You can always find just a little bit more to do for someone else. It doesn't take a million naira or even thousands of naira. Just a little bit more can go 1,000 miles.
Define democracy is procedural, but when it is right, it is when a lot of them are saying that the women can help, but when they get there, all they do is think about themselves.
Societies do not like women.
The political parties will not give women space. Women have to take it.
The party structures from the ward level should include women. It shouldn't just be only woman leader.
It is time that we know that gender agenda is about women who needs to arise.
Now that was just one of the very many camps that we have in the FCT. In fact, what you saw was an unregistered camp. And it's of course very amazing and yet not surprising that the people who bear the brunt of all of this terror and insurgency and community clash are women and children. Now there are still women and children who are out there in the world, other parts of the world, experiencing distress and lack of aid, going from Syria to Mali to DRC to even South Sudan and neighboring Cameroon. Thousands of women and children have been deported from Cameroon back to Nigeria. What is the hope for such people? How do we restore the dignity and pride of their citizenship? There are women who actually did feel the brunt of being refugees. People like Adrienne Clarkson, who was born in Hong Kong and left because of the Japanese invasion, while she lived and thrived with her parents in an internally displaced people's camp, was later moved to Canada, became one of the first broadcasters from Hong Kong in Canada, and later the country's Governor General. And that's because the country gave her hope. Or you could talk about people like Peter Donaldson. Pete Donaldson is a woman, forget the name. She was one of the first Australian who was raised in a Nazi camp, a German Jew, who ran and fled with her parents, although her parents were killed in the wake, and became the pioneer of dance education in the whole of Australia, setting up a dance center for dance criticism and choreological studies. The list is endless. Did I talk about Albert Einstein, the Nobel laureate who had his books burnt in Hitler's bonfires? A man who was born a German Jew, accused of treason, lived in a refugee camp, who once said, "The evil in the world is not because we have evil people living in the world. It is because we have people living in the world who will do nothing about the sufferings of others." Further on, he said, "I once and I often shudder at my peace of mind when I remember there are thousands and millions of people out there suffering without." Nigeria is not just up to the West to look in on us and help. We have everything it takes. Can we kindly look inside and ask ourselves one question? Do you have any other country aside from Nigeria? These are our brothers. These are our sisters. It could have been your mother. It could have been your daughter. As I close today's episode, I'm going to leave you with just an episode of some people trying to do something for peace sake. And they call this one a dance for peace. My name is Adora Nyechere. See you again next week. It's been Gender Agenda. Goodbye. This is Gender Agenda.
My father once told me that we are the leaders of tomorrow and the future is ours. That the choices we make now shapes us into what we would eventually become. My name is Temilola, and I would like to be an icon like Oprah Winfrey when I grow up.
My name is Obede. When I grow up, I want to be a great footballer like Kanu Nwankwo.
Kana so ka zama babban mutum a duniya, kamata ka je makaranta. Kai, na je makaranta.
In order for us to achieve our dreams, we must first have access to quality education. In order to have quality education, we must first be alive. In order to remain alive, we need to live in peace. This is not it. This is not peace. No mother should have to bury her own children. No child should have to live the rest of their lives in an orphanage. Our schools are not safe anymore. Our future is being destroyed before our very eyes. What hope is there for us? Where is the love? Where is the unity? Where is the peace?
My name is Aisha Okikuta, and I am a mother of 3. This could have been any of my children.
We are not soldiers. We cannot fight for it. We are not senators. We cannot legislate.
Federal lawmakers from Borno painted a very grim picture of what may have become the fate of the abducted girls.
We are not hopeless and weak, so we cannot just sit down and cry.
Just hold yourself, I beg you. Just hold yourself.
As the great children of Nigeria, irrespective of differences in our background, religion, and culture,
Why are we here? Why are we here? Why are we here? Peace!
to speak with one voice, on one stage, in one dance.
Being deliberate about peace is a personal choice.
Peace is also the existence of a healthy relationship.
It's a language all you understand. I love to dance, and this movement for dance is going to bring everybody together.
We Dance Africa for putting all of this great art together.
The dance for peace.
In zan zama babban mutum a wannan duniya ya kamata in je makaranta